Good morning, afternoon, evening. This is the One Man Militia, and I'm here to discuss a percentage of my collection looks alike. Currently, 14% of my collection looks alike are revolvers. Um, Out of my collection, I do have 10 that are revolvers. I am proud to say they all are performance center revolvers, and I will go over each caliber. I will go over the percentage of my collection is consistent of that caliber. I will give a little bit of detailed information. There is no magazine compatibility test with them because revolvers don't use magazines. They just use rimmed rounds. I do have two that use rimless rounds, and we'll go ahead and get started with the Smith & Wesson 986. This is my first Smith & Wesson 986. It is chambered in 9mm. It is a performance center, and as you probably glanced here, all cylinders are clear, and this is the 9mm on a ring of 9mm on a moon clip for the 686. You do have to use the moon clip if you do use a rimless cartridge meant for a semi-auto in a revolver. It does make a nice concealed carry piece. Small package with a big bang. That one has the wooden hand grips. My second revolver is also a Smith & Wesson 986, chambered in 9mm, performance center. All cylinders are clear. The only difference is that it has the synthetic hand grip versus the wooden hand grips. I won't really go too much in detail about the 9mm cartridge because I did discuss that in a previous video about my percentage of my collection. Roughly 14, maybe 18% of my collection were 9mm, which is a good chunk. These two were originally omitted from the 9mm video, but I am showing them here on this video. Out of this, 2 of my firearms are chambered in 9mm, which makes a total of 0.03% of my collection is chambered in 9mm revolver. But keep in mind, I know it's 21% of my collection is chambered in 9mm. The video did say 18% was chambered in 9mm. That was a typo on my error. I do apologize. These two were omitted from the previous video, but 21% is 9mm, 0.03% are 9mm revolver. My next up, and this is the largest segment of my revolver collection, the 357. And I do have a Smith & Wesson 686, chambered in 38 special, 357, performance center, of course. And it is all cylinders clear. You can see my hand on the opposite side here. This is the first revolver that led to the plethora of revolvers that's lying in front of me now. Purchased it around October of 2021. It does have the dark hand grips here. And my revolvers, I do have 38 special, even though I took them out because these just came straight out the collection. I did safety check them now. But the 986. I'm sorry, the 686. That was the first, and then about 2 weeks later, I happened to go back to my favorite little gun store, and I found the second Smith & Wesson 686, 357 performance center. All cylinders clear, and this one is chambered also in 38 special 9mm. The only difference, it does have a lighter color hand grip, wooden hand grip. Now, much later on, I purchased that one 2 weeks later, still in October. Much later on, probably a year or so later, I did get this off my favorite little website. This is also Smith & Wesson 686. This is a 7-shot, just like the previous two. Performance Center, of course. And all cylinders clear. And basically, I just had to get it because it had the whole rubber hand grips. As you all know by now, that is one of my favorite modifications. If I had to conceal carry any one of these 686s, it would definitely be this third one here. The whole hand grip make it feel very comfortable. It's kind of like the Cadillac of 357s. Basically, the Smith & Wesson 686 is built off of an L frame. Currently, within the percentage of my entire collection, I have 5 357s. They do represent 0.04% of my collection. That was only 3 of them. I did happen to go and get a Smith & Wesson 627. And of course, it's a performance center, but as you notice, it is an 8-shot. And just to show you, that is a whole lot of cylinders, but they all are clear as well. This is going to be like the most bang for the buck, I guess, or the most bangs for the buck, but the 357 there. And then, keeping up with the tradition, I had to go and get a Smith & Wesson 586. Basically, this is a similar 357, and I'll go ahead and show you that it is empty as well. It is a 7-shot 357, except it is made out of carbon steel versus the stainless steel. Steel made out of the L frame. The barrel is a little bit longer here. 357. It does have it is ported at the top here to help mitigate some of that recoil as well. And it is still a performance center. The barrel is I think it's a 3-inch barrel. And also, it came originally with the wooden hand grips similar to the 686, but I found this crimson trace here, and so I had the crimson trace mounted on it. Crimson trace actuator is actually right here, is on the front, right there. So when you hold on to it, your middle finger is the one that actuates the crimson trace. But that is the 586 Smith & Wesson. And basically, these 686s barrel lengths range from 2.5 inch to 8.3 inch. I do prefer the snub nose. Mine are geared towards the 2.5. In my 586, I had no choice. I think it is a 3-inch barrel, but that represents the 5 of the 357s. Now, keeping up with the tradition, I did have to go and get me something a little bit bigger, and so I ended up getting a Smith & Wesson 629. And I'll show you that it is clear here. Let's see here. It's a 44 Magnum. I did a little bit of research on it, and the online they say that this is probably the smallest cartridge that's most effective against a charging bear. However, some people do choose to use the Glock 20, which is 10 millimeter. I do have 3 Smith & Wesson, and I did show you in the previous video about a small percentage. It was 3 out of whatever my collection is that represented the 10 millimeter, the 1076, the 1006, and the 1066. Those are effective as well. And then, like I said, Smith & Wesson did make a M&P 10 millimeter as well. Some people choose to use that in bear country or what. If I had my choice between that and the 44 Magnum, I would definitely choose the 44 Magnum. 44 Magnum is based off of the end frame, which is a little bit bigger. It does have a velocity of roughly 1180 feet per second up until about 1760 feet per second. Now the 1180 is coming out of a 4-inch barrel, so this one might be somewhere around 1100, 1100, 1150, whatever, foot per second. But the greater velocity is coming out of a carbine type firearm. But basically, this is the 44 Magnum. Kind of give you an idea of a 44 Magnum round. We'll go ahead and use this defense one here, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you one of my I'll show you one of my 357s. Kind of give you an idea about size comparison there. And as you can see, the smaller one is the 38 Special right here. The big one is the 44 Magnum. Kind of give you an idea there. Okay, on to my next firearm. Now we kind of getting into the big boys here. Went to my favorite gun store back during this little period of Revolver. I ended up finding a Smith & Wesson 460, and you've seen this in some of my previous videos here. I'm going to show you first that it is empty, and as you can see by the thickness of these cylinder walls, this is a 5-shot. It might be the only downside to it, but the upside to the that is, like I say, the Performance Center Smith & Wesson 460 Magnum. The upside to the 460, this is the most versatile of the revolvers. It shoots 4 different type of rounds, going from smallest bang to the biggest bang. The 45 Schofield. It took me a while to find that round, but when I found it, I had already shot the 454 Casull and the 460 Smith & Wesson, and it really, I mean, even though it's a good round, it's a good round, it's nothing to write home to mom about when you're comparing it to the bigger ones. But the 45 Schofield has the smallest bang, and then the second smallest bang, or the third largest bang, however you want to look at it, is the 45 Colt. I haven't shot much out of it. I did shoot it though, and I mean, it was okay as well. Like I say, anything in a defense situation is better than a handful of rocks. The second largest bang, or the runner-up, I would say, would be the 454 Castle round, and that is a big round. And taking the top of the charts is the 460 Smith & Wesson. It does have the biggest bang. 460 Smith & Wesson, it does shoot around 2330 feet per second as far as your rounds, and it does kind of depend on whether you're using the weaker 45 Schofield or you're using the more powerful 460. They do come in various models, various trims. As you notice here, this one has the high via sights here. This is the Performance Center. They do have an XVR version, and then most notably, they do have a version called an ES model. The ES model is used on the small prop planes that fly in the backcountry of Alaska. They usually keep it in the survival kit, because when the plane goes down, when you survive the crash, you get the 460 out and you survive the bears. And that's the purpose for the Smith & Wesson 460 being in the ES model. It is a snub nose model as well. Like I say, it's a very effective firearm against 4-legged, oversized creatures. And then finally, to top off this collection, I bought this one most recently around, I'm going to say about 10 months ago, is I have the Smith & Wesson 500. And I will show you here. It is a Performance Center, and this is actually an upgrade from the previous one I had, because I used to have a Smith & Wesson 500 that was just a 4-inch barrel. but it wasn't a performance center. When I saw this one come up on consignment, I just had to have it. I ended up getting it for quite a bit cheaper, probably about $600-700 cheaper. Um, but the Smith & Wesson 500, I'll go ahead and show you here that it does have very thick cylinder walls as well. And this is an empty firearm, so it is safe. As you notice, the 460, 500, and the 44 Magnum. Since these are the bigger caliber, they do come with the whole rubber hand grips. This one was probably installed by the previous owner, but these two right here, they came with them, and you have to have some kind of rubber hand grip. Now they do have a 500 that has a wooden hand grip. I did see a gentleman on a video with one, and I bet you it's hell to fire with a wooden hand grip. But this whole hand grip, like I said, it makes it feel like a Cadillac, a big bore Cadillac. I'll put it like that. Kind of give you an idea that the type of round that it uses. This is the 460 round right here. This is the largest one out of the 460, and then this is the Smith & Wesson 500. And the only reason the 500 is a little bit shorter versus the 460 is because it is kind of beveled off at the top versus being pointed here. But when you look at the diameter, this is the 460 right here, and this is the 500. When you look at the diameter, 500 is a little bit bigger in diameter. But basically, one of the downsides to the Smith & Wesson 500 that it is a proprietary round. You can only use Smith & Wesson 500 with a Smith & Wesson 500. But with the 460, you got a choice of 4 different rounds, which makes it a lot more versatile. The upside to the Smith & Wesson 500, and I mean, it came out on the market in 2003, and the barrel length ranges from 2.75 to I think 8.3 inch barrel. But the upside to it is, back in 2003, this was the most powerful thing that you could shoot out of one hand, basically, as far as like being a handgun. But since Magnum Research came out with their firearm, and then there's a way that you can increase the caliber of the Magnum Research firearm, this Smith & Wesson kind of falls around, I guess, around 3 or so. And I'm not saying that I don't want to try to compare it like to a Desert Eagle or anything, but it does kind of fall into that same realm of big bore like a Desert Eagle. As far as reliability, I do love the reliability of revolvers in general. When I first got into the firearms, I admit that I was a semi-automatic person. I looked at, having like a compact, and then having the capacity and stuff, and capacity was like my biggest thing. And but when I got into the revolvers, I just like the mechanics of the revolver as well. I do admit my collection does consist of mostly semi-autos, but the revolvers have impressed me as far as their performance. The only thing that might be lacking, like I say, could be the capacity. But if you have something like this 627 that holds 8 rounds, and then I do have like a Smith & Wesson 3913 that holds 8 rounds, because it's a single stack also. You're like round for round as far as the capacity. And with this one, you have a little bit more kick with your round, because it's a 357 versus a single stack 9. But I guess that is pretty much it with the Smith & Wesson revolvers. And I forgot to mention here too that as the revolvers did get bigger, they do get heavier. And so something like This Smith & Wesson 500, depending on the barrel length. This particular model weighs about 56 ounces. But if I was to get the longer, like 10-inch barrel version, well, I don't know, whatever 10 inches is, I could be looking at like a 79 ounce firearm. This 44 Magnum. Now, typically, as far as like concealed carry, I stop at the 357, and if I was to conceal carry, I would consider 38 special, because I'm trying to defend myself, and I'm not trying to defend myself going through a wall or anything like that. I mean, 357 is a great round, but depending on where you're at, it could be a little bit overpowering. So as far as if I was to conceal carry anything, the 986, the 586, and the 686 would be my prime choices. As far as like the 44 Magnum, the 460 and the 500, they're pretty much safe queens. I love them to death, but they're just fun to have firearms. That's my take on the revolvers. Please like and subscribe. And like I say, please comment. I do enjoy your comments. And I do appreciate all of the comments. People say everything. I think the most controversial was the 40 caliber. It's kind of like a love it or hate it type caliber around. I enjoyed all the comments. I did post 3 videos based off the comments. I see Proud Patriot 1944. I really appreciate your in-depth information. I can't thank you enough. You explained the Miami-Dade shootout, and I know I've explained it on a video, and I might have gotten some facts wrong about it, but you clarified everything as far as that video. And there was another one, Atkins Theory. Or Atkins Theory, I'm sorry. I do appreciate your comment as well. You did give some very high-tech information about the 40 caliber. So I do have a special video going out to those 2. I hope you do see it on the algorithm and see it on the YouTube Shorts. And then I did post a 3rd video just for everyone. You know, I enjoyed reading all of the comments and everything. But like I say, please like and please subscribe. Please view the comments. Please view the videos. I appreciate any eyes on the video. Like I say, I learn from you all just as much as you all are probably learning from me as well. This is the One Man Militia. I appreciate you all. Thank you. You all have a very blessed day or night.